So, but in this case, we need to skip her away.
It's your decision. We have a policy.
Oh, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Vineland Board of Education Work Session Meeting, October 4th, 2017. Roll call, Ms. Haley.
Ms. Acosta?
Here.
Ms. Cottone?
Present.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Here.
Mr. Holmes?
Here.
Mr. Mateo?
Here.
Ms. Rios?
Present.
Mr. Sobrana?
Present.
Mr. Boardley?
Here.
Mr. Jennings?
Present. In compliance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law, commonly referred to as the Sunshine Law, the Vineland Board of Education has caused notice and posting of this meeting to be sent to the following, announcing time and place thereof, agenda, etc. The Daily Journal, S&J Today, the Press of Atlantic City, Nuestra Comunidad, Visto Bueno, the Clerk for the City of Vineland, and the Administrative Office Public Bulletin Board. At this moment, I'd like to take a moment of silence for Celeste Cannon, Mr. Pacheco's sister, who passed away, what was it, a week and a half ago, correct? Yes.
As well as those injured or tragically killed in Las Vegas the last couple days.
Okay, thank you. Flag salute.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a resolution for executive session.
Yes, we do. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education of the City of Vineland School District will convene into executive session on Wednesday, October 4th, 2017, for the following reasons as outlined in NJSA 10:4-12. Discussion is the performance of the superintendent and any matters falling within the attorney-client privilege to the extent that confidentiality is required in order for the attorney to exercise his ethical duties as a lawyer.
Thank you, Ms. Haley. Special presentations,
We need
Dr.
a first
Cruccio?
motion. So moved.
Sorry.
Second.
Roll call, Ms. Haley.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Ms. Cottone?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Mateo?
Yes.
Ms. Rios?
Yes.
Mr. Sobrana?
Yes.
Mr. Boardley?
Yes.
Mr. Jennings?
Yes. Special presentations.
Okay, we have two special presentations this evening, and I'd like to start by calling forward Mrs. Lynn Monteleone, the principal of our preschool program.
Good evening. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to be here tonight. Every day in preschool, we see amazing and wonderful actions taken by our staff. On September 19th, however, the staff in room 3 at Delago worked in perfect harmony. One of their students began choking while they were eating lunch, and immediately the 3 ladies that support that classroom and the 15 children went into action. One started the Heimlich maneuver, another one went immediately to the phones and had an all-call of a code purple, which means that we needed our response team to report to that room immediately. The other staff member went and kept the other children in the classroom calm while all of this action was happening in the classroom. Thanks to their calm reaction, and we also are able to give them continued professional development in first aid and CPR training. The child began breathing immediately, and the nurse, by the time most of us got to the room, was already just skipping down the hall with the child to make sure that he was fine, and he was. So I would like to just let you all know also that our theme this year just happens to be superheroes, and that teaching is our superpower. So I feel that the 3 ladies in this classroom certainly did show to the world how wonderful our preschool staff is, and although they are all superheroes every single day, the 3 members in that classroom certainly did show to be the Delago superheroes for the day. So it's my privilege to introduce the teacher, Amy McMahon, her assistant, Tiffany Miller, and regrettably, her third assistant, Dianis Ramos Di Feliciano, was unable to be with us tonight, but I certainly will pass on the gratitude from the board to her, as well as the flowers. So thank you again. Thank you.
Every day, 6 o'clock. All call. Every day. What is it? I got it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations on doing such a fine job. Very proud of all of you. Our next presentation, I'm going to call forward Mrs. Jennifer Belvit, and we are going to be honoring one of our English students.
Good evening, Dr. Gruccio, Mr. Jennings, members of the board. It's my pleasure to be here tonight to honor Elizabeth Baranowskaya. She was in my Honors English 2 class for the 2016-2017 school year. And since 2014, I've been having students enter a writing contest for the Rant Institute for their book Anthem. The contest is open for 8th to 10th grade students, and it's an international scholarship contest for writing an essay. And Elizabeth is the first student from Vineland High to place in the contest. She won a semifinalist position for her essay, and she's winning a $30 cash prize from the Institute. So we are very excited to be here tonight to honor her for this.
I know, right? Congratulations to you and to your family and teacher. Nice job. Do we have Jose Mateo with us this evening? Okay. Jose is our new officer who is going to be the liaison to the board. So we'll double check with him and make sure that he keeps it on his schedule. Okay, HIP reports.
HIP report. John, Frangipani, anything to report? No? Okay. Comments by Board Solicitor, Mr. DeSanto?
You can either use the clicker there or you can use the arrows here, whichever one's easier.
I have been asked by some board members about the process involved now that Dr. Gruccio is in the third year of her 3-year contract. I then spoke, after I addressed their questions, I spoke to Mr. Jennings and to Dr. Gruccio and suggested that perhaps I share information regarding the process with the entire board and Dr. Gruccio and the public. So it is my intention to give you a brief outline of what the parameters are, what the options are to the board as you consider her contract. Please keep in mind that tonight is a presentation on process. There should be no discussion regarding Dr. Gruccio's performance, no discussion regarding the merits, no discussion regarding what you should do or shouldn't do. This is just to give the board an advanced outline of what you should be considering come December, which is usually the time that this discussion takes place. First of all, we should remember and recall that the Board of Education appoints a superintendent for a certain period of time. There's no tenure per se for a superintendent. The contract for the superintendent is at least 3 years and no more than 5 years. And it must end on June 30. So we've had in the past a superintendent with a 3-year, 4-month contract because of the time that that particular individual started. So the contract cannot be less than 3 or more than 5, and this becomes important as we discuss this process. 18A 17-20.1 provides for the automatic reappointment of a superintendent. So at the conclusion of the term of the initial contract or any subsequent contract, the superintendent shall be deemed reappointed for another term of the same duration unless either A, the board by contract reappoints him for a different term, which term shall not be less than 3 nor more than 5, as we said, or B, the board notifies the superintendent in writing that he will not be reappointed at the end of the current term, in which event his employment ceases at the expiration of the term, provided that such notification shall be given prior to the expiration by a length of time equal to 30 days for each year in the term of the current contract. In English, that means if you have a 3-year contract, you must give 90 days notice of your intent to non-renew. However, Dr. Gruccio, as in prior contracts with our superintendent, we give a little bit more time so that in the event of non-renewal, the individual has more opportunity to make a decision about future work. So Dr. Gruccio's contract indicates that this decision to non-renew is to be made on or before December 31st. So that's why it's important that you consider this issue in December. So what happens, I'm sorry, also, by the way, there's another provision under 18A where a Board of Education can extend, negotiate an amendment to the contract, and then there's a certain process. You must have a public hearing. There's 30 days notice. If and when we get to this point, I'll be more specific. But another possibility is the extension of the current contract. Now, because the superintendent's contract can be no more than 5 years, a 3-year contract can be extended for no more than 2, so the total is 5. So keeping it, that's not a new contract. This is an extension of a current contract. So here are your options. By December 31, the board may, number 1, do nothing. The result of that is the contract is automatically renewed for 3 years under the statute that I quoted earlier. So if nothing is done, no actions taken by the board, the contract is renewed from July 1 of 18 to June 30 of 2021. The second option the board has is to vote to non-renew. Now, that doesn't mean that there will never be an extension of the contract or a renewal. It just means that you are voting to eliminate the automatic renewal. So if you vote to non-renew, the result is after January 1, I'm very sorry. You can't talk with your hands and have an instrument. After January 1, the new board can let the contract expire on June 30, or the new board can renew the contract for 3, 4, or 5 years, or extend the current contract. So a vote to non-renew pushes the issue forward to a new board after January 1. It is not a determination by this board that the superintendent can never be renewed. It just moves the decision to the next year. And during that 6-month period is when the new board has one of these 3 options. The third option to this board is a vote to extend the current contract up to 2 years. So that's a decision this board can make. Could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be the entire 2 years, but no more than 2 years because the current contract can be no more than 5. So this is an outline of the process and the procedure that you have. I'll be more than happy to, if you want to contact me to answer any questions you may have, but at least now everybody is on the same page with respect to the parameters and the options. Do I have any questions tonight? Mr. Mateo.
It says vote to extend the contract up to 2 years. Does that mean it has to be 1 year or 2 years, or could it be 3 months?
Any length.
Any length
that's why I use the word up to 2, because it could be 3 years current plus 3 months. I mean, you have a total of 2 years that you have to work with. Mr. Sobrana.
Who is eligible to vote on this contract?
The non-conflicted board members. The ethics rulings indicate that the same people that cannot participate in the superintendent's evaluation cannot participate in any employment issue involving the superintendent.
In any case, whatever decision the unconflicted board members make would only put the decision of renewal or non-renewal to the new board that seats in January.
Well, not exactly. The non-conflicted folks will have the same 3 options as 9 people would have.
Well, as opposed to not doing anything.
Okay, then the non-conflicted folks will have the vote to non-renew to consider or the vote to extend to consider, assuming that doing nothing is not on the table.
Thank you, Mr. DeSanto. I'm sure as we go along, if anybody has any questions, you'll be fielding phone calls. Okay, Dr. Gruccio.
Okay, I'd like to
Continue on.
recommend discussion regarding approval of retirements, resignations, terminations, leaves of absence, employment, transfers, student substitutes, and extracurricular activities.
Questions, comments, anyone? Kim? Nothing?
I'd like to recommend discussion for the approval of field trips and district travel.
Questions, comments, anyone?
I have a question.
Wait a minute. Go ahead.
You said, wait a minute.
For Mary.
The Special Olympics, do we get a grant or anything with that? Or is that just something that,
I believe it's paid for through IDEA special ed money, but I can, am I correct? Yes. Okay, so it's funded through the IDEA grant.
when do they hold the Special Olympics? That we're involved in anyway.
The bowling competitions are in February and March, and then in May, there's a track and field competition.
Oh, nice. Okay, thank you.
Posted on the actual dates.
Yes, please.
I'd like to recommend discussion regarding the approval of the first reading of these bylaws, policies, and regulations. Two mandated changes are Policy 2700, Policy and Regulation 7100. There are some language changes for the recommended policies underneath, which is Policy and Reg 7101, 7102, 7130, 7300, 7300, 7300.3, and 7300.4.
Questions, comments, anyone? Okay, thank you.
I recommend discussion regarding authorizing the board secretary to enter into a memorandum of agreement with Complete Care Health Network for the 2017-18 school year.
Questions, comments? Thank you.
I recommend discussion regarding the approval of budgetary transfers in the general, school-based, and ECBA budgets for August 2017.
Questions, comments? Thank you.
I recommend discussion regarding the approval of the board secretary and treasurer reports for August 2017.
Questions, comments? Thank you.
I recommend discussion regarding the approval of special education student placements.
Questions, comments, anyone? Thank you.
I recommend discussion regarding submission of the following grant applications: the School Climate Transformation Project for Rossi Middle School and the Target Field Trip Grant for Petway Elementary School.
Questions, comments, anyone? Thank you.
I'm sorry, this continues to the next page. I'm sorry. It includes the 2018 ESSA Every Student Succeeds Act, the application to the State of the New Jersey Department of Ed for July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018. This includes all of our title programs which are listed below.
Questions? Thank you.
I recommend discussion regarding approval to accept the following funding: Cumberland County Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Service Grant from the Vineland Municipal Alliance for July 1st, 2017 through June 30th, 2018 for educational intervention services to Vineland High School students. The Reflex Math Grant for Johnstone Elementary School. The Franklin Institute Field Trip Grant for Menny's Elementary School. And the Young Citizen Scholarship Grant, which is a field trip to the National Constitution Center for Menny School.
Questions, comments, anyone? I'd like to thank the people who are doing this work. Thank you very much.
I'd like to recommend discussion regarding the approval to open a new account at the Newfield National Bank for Dr. John H. Winslow School's Student Activity Account. The following people listed would be signers.
Did you want to read them?
I can if you'd like. Deborah Quinn, Christina Craig, Lauren Delago, and Helen Haley.
Question, comments, anyone? Thank you.
Discussion regarding the approval to open a second account at Newfield National Bank for the Safety Patrol to be used for trips with the following signers: Mary Gruccio, Helen Haley, Scott Mustarell.
Questions, comments, anyone?
Is that for all the schools or one?
Yes, that's for all the safeties. Well, I shouldn't say that high school's not included. It's for elementary and middle, right, all the Safety Patrol. I recommend discussion regarding approval to close Landis Student Activity Account and transfer the funds to Landis Scholarship Account within Vineland High School Student Activity Account, which will benefit graduating seniors who have attended Landis School for all 3 years of middle school.
Questions, comments, anyone? Thank you.
I recommend discussion regarding the approval of the annual maintenance reserve deposit worksheet, which is Form M1, indicating the required deposit in the 2017-18 budget.
Questions, comments, anyone? I have a question. The M1, where would we find that if we wanted to? Is it on there? Okay, I didn't see it. Okay, it's attached, thank you.
I recommend discussion regarding approval of the comprehensive maintenance plan report for 2016-17 actual, 17-18 budgeted, and 18-19 planned.
Questions, comments? Thank you.
Recommend discussion regarding the approval of this change order to the Landis Intermediate School elevator. Change order number 1, to provide and install additional floor support at the second floor landing as noted on RFCO number 2 floor support from Levy Construction dated 8/24/17. The total increase of this would be $1,375.02, which would be funded by our contingency allowance.
Questions, comments, anyone? I got a question. How is that project going? Are we running into any issues, Wayne, or how's it looking?
Please wait till the committee report.
What's that?
It'll be in the committee report.
Oh.
Patience. Yeah, we can wait.
All right.
Thanks.
Sorry about that. That was my question.
I recommend discussion regarding approval of the correction to the following change order to the Vineland High School South Locker Room upgrades. Modification number 3, which was approved for $503.60, should actually be $580.60. This will provide labor, materials, and equipment to install exit lights.
Questions, comments, anyone? Thank you.
I recommend discussion regarding the approval of change order number 1 for the Landis Administration Building at a net cost of $0 from Capri Construction Company, Incorporated.
Questions, comments, anyone? Thank you.
I recommend discussion regarding the approval of payment in the amount of $990 to an employee whose name is on file with the Board Secretary for legal and expungement fees in accordance with NJSA 18A:16-6.1.
Questions, comments, anyone? Thank you.
I recommend discussion regarding the approval of cancellation of the list of checks provided and on file with the Board Secretary and remittance of the funds to the New Jersey Department of Treasury as unclaimed property administration.
Questions, comments? Thank you.
I recommend discussion of Cumberland County Regional Cooperative Transportation Initiatives, which are 2017-18 jointure, 2017-18 transportation quoted contracts, 2017-18 transportation addendum, 2017-18 extended school year transportation addendum, and 2017-18 bid number 4.
Questions, anyone? Comments? Thank you. Do we have any items for review? Okay, I don't think we have anything there. Review of bills for August 2017. Any questions, comments? Thank you. Let's do that right now, then.
Okay. If we could just take a moment before we open up the meeting for public comment, we'd just like to ask for another moment of silence for Millie Ramos, who worked for over 30 years in our district and died suddenly while she was on a trip in Florida. So we'd appreciate that.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Opportunity for the public to address the board. Do we have any yellow sheets? No. No need.
On any topic.
Oh, that's right. Any topic before is there. Any topic, anyone? Seeing none, thank you. Committee reports. Jeff, you want to go ahead with your?
No, I'll go
I'd like to
last because
hear
I
you.
have to find them.
Mr. Jennings, I think there's a member of the public that wants.
I'm sorry. You want to step up to the microphone, please? We want to hear you in full effect.
Okay. I'm here in reference to my granddaughter, Zynacia Simmons, with a situation that happened at her school, Veteran Memorial School. And I talked to Mr. Panganini. How you say it?
Frangipani.
That's it. And he told me that I had to go further to address the issue. Do I do it here or after it's over with?
What's that, dear? I couldn't hear you.
He told me that I had to go further to address the issue with the superintendent. Do I speak to her now or after y'all meeting's over?
I mean, if there's something you want to say in public, you can say it, or...
She's asking if she could speak to the superintendent. She would have to make arrangements to contact Dr. Gruccio and speak with her before she approaches the board. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would recommend you one-on-one, or her and her
Is
team.
he here, Mr. Frank? Oh, okay. All right. All right. Well, it's a situation that had to be handled soon because she's not in school right now. They're trying to transfer her to Cunningham Academy, and I'm not in agreement with it.
Can I make a comment? I mean, I've been filled in with from Mr. Frangipani regarding the situation, and I fully support his recommendation. So the next step would be that she would have to share her concern with the board if you would like her to do that now, because I'm supporting what he decided.
Well, if she wants to make a presentation publicly,
It's
that's
fine.
her
I mean, I'd be
choice.
happy to meet with
No,
you.
I'm saying if you want to make it publicly, it's your choice because you're discussing your child.
Yeah.
If you would like to appear before the board, since your child is a student here, there's rights that could be done in closed session outside of the public. So the choice is yours.
I'm making in front of the board right now. I started off since I took my time out my schedule to come up here.
Okay.
And my situation is my granddaughter got into an altercation at the school last Friday, like a week ago, with a student that just sucker punched her, and before she could retaliate back, defend herself, they had broke it all up, and the girl did get punished. The girl got suspended and everything. All right, we had talked with my granddaughter, and told her, let bygones be bygones. But as her growing up, she was raised to defend herself. So she didn't listen to us. When the girl came back to school, she retaliated. She hit the girl back, and when she hit the girl back, she got suspended. They called her mom. Her mom came to school to get her. Her mom and the principal got into a big altercation in front of my granddaughter, and I guess it got worse. I wasn't there, but it got worse anyway. My granddaughter got a ride to the police station. She got arrested. Well, the officer, he took her there and talked to her and told her either she do community service or she can get a charge, which she chose community service. So he took her to the Boys and Girls Club. She did her community service. She got suspended and everything, and now it's time for her to go back to school. They want to kick her out of school and say for her to go to Cunningham Academy, which I don't think that's fair because she's not. This is the first time ever getting in a fight in school. She's not that bad of a kid to go to Cunningham Academy. I know the school. I'm aware of the school. I have a kid that's in the school, which he brought us up to that level to be there, which it is a great school for behavior kids that have them kind of problems, but she's not at that point. And I'm not in agreement of them sending her to Cunningham Academy. I asked them, I understand if the principal feels threatened that she don't want her there. I'm asking if it's okay for her to go to another school, but not to the academy. I don't think it's that she's been punished enough. She learned from mistakes. I talked to her. I told her she should have just hold back and let bygones be bygones, but she took it upon herself. And I don't think that it's fair that she had to go get punished more to go to Cunningham Academy for that one incident that she didn't even start. Because at the beginning of the incident, when the girl got suspended, she didn't even get suspended. Because the security guard, all of them seen the incident.
Can we...
It would be my recommendation to the board that you really can't do anything in response to this. You can't engage in a discussion that's going to involve other students too, and that you don't have all the facts. You would need to have information from the school officials. So you would handle this similar to when we handle disciplinary hearings, which would be privately in an executive session. So I think the administration, Mr. Frangipani and Dr. Gruccio, should meet with her to discuss what the situation is, and if she would like to pursue appearance before the board, you'll have to schedule a disciplinary hearing.
I would be more than happy to give you a call tomorrow and set up a meeting when Mr. Frangipani and I can meet with you.
All right, well, in the meantime, she's not even in school. There's no way she can be homeschooled?
Well, why don't you speak to Mr. Frangipani after the meeting? It's so uncomfortable for us to discuss a student in public session.
Okay.
Because I don't know what's going to come out, and we need to protect the privacy of our kids.
All right.
So if I think you see that people are willing to talk to you, so speak to Mr. Frangipani afterward.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, where am I at here? Committee reports. Finance, no? Kim?
I have 3.
Awesome. I'll go on. Let her go last. You go last.
I'll do these 2 and then I'll do that one. Okay. My first one is our curriculum and instruction. We met on September 25th. We discussed new curriculum in the following areas: AP Studio Art 2D, Freshman Seminar, Grade 6 Gifted, Grade 7 Gifted, AP Environmental Science, Practical Law, Politics, and Mock Trial and Dance 2. A discussion of Gizmo's grant for online science simulations was discussed, and we had an award letter, and that would be for Mr. Fry to explain if anybody wants to know, but I think it's a real exciting thing that's going to be happening in our schools. We discussed the revised home instruction manual and the revision summary. We also discussed life skills curriculum and change of opportunities within the Life Skills Cafe, and our next meeting is October 30th. We had a transportation meeting on September 21st. We discussed the contract 54 passenger buses. We discussed in-district versus contract pricing, the DCP and P and homeless routes, which have really created they're very costly for us. Students that are placed out of district with trips that could be upwards of 2 hours in some cases, and these costs are costing the districts up to $700 per day. So Mr. Calavini has recommended a few things that we're checking out, so we're going to see how that works out. Special need transportation, we discussed that. Other areas for savings is redistricting, caregiver restrictions, reduced bus stops, school time adjustments, and special program placements. And I wanted to thank Mrs. Godlucy and Dr. DeGrin for coming in and working with us, and it was a very good presentation, so I'm hoping we can get that publicity out there for that also. And I'm going to do the first policy minutes. On September 6th, we had a personnel and policy meeting, and Ms. Acosta wasn't present, so she asked me to do the minutes. We discussed 2 mandated policies and recommended policies from the Strauss ESME. The policies were capital projects, administration code, school closings. That's all pretty much we did for that meeting. Your turn.
That's it? You sure?
And I have a preschool meeting Tuesday. So.
And minutes for today's meeting we'll do next week. Next week, okay. You don't have them together. Mr. Bordley.
All right, the Facilities Committee met on, I forget what day it was, last Thursday.
It's the
28th. So we discussed the drawings of the synthetic turf for Cottone Stadium. We compared those to mock-ups of, we compared our mock-up to other fields, in particular Bridgeton and Ocean City, and we came out with a final mock-up, which Mrs. Haley took care of, emailed out to all the members, in expectation of submitting that to the grant people coming up next week, I believe it is, correct?
We have our last conference call with them tomorrow, and then the grant is due on the 15th, so it'll be submitted before then.
Excellent. Mr. Robbins appeared, and we talked about shared services with the city. We came up with some different avenues to participate with the other youth organizations. There's more of a give and take between the school district and the city. We met with the All Sports Booster Club and discussed their purpose, their history, and what we can do to help each other. We spoke about the progress of the Vineland High School locker room project. Mr. Weaver advised us that the project is done, and pictures will be posted on the Vineland Public Schools Facebook page, I would expect by next week, after we're able to get the pictures to Miss Gia. We're still looking in, finish a floor area in the bathroom, or the locker room area, to 100% complete that area. The Landis School project, the renovation is going well. Everything is pretty much on pace. Nothing major to report there, but it is moving forward. We actually did tour the building. It was on Thursday. Walls are going up. There's a lot of progress being made. It's an interesting building to be in at this point. The elevator is due to be completed mid-December. Lincoln Avenue Middle School is on target for mid-May, beginning of June. I was unable to tour that at this time, but hopefully we'll be able to get there soon. But there's no road bumps at this point, knock on wood, and everything seems to be going well.
I have a question. I'm just with that. Maybe once we get the design plan for the turf, maybe we could like show it to the public. That way they could see what we're actually doing, you know, the design for the field.
I think there's one more meeting, phone conference call planned or something.
Right, there's different segments. So tomorrow is a conference call to finalize the grant, and we do have a drawing for that. I have to talk to the engineer so he can finalize the bid package. But I think it would be a good idea to share the drawing, just to get people interested in it, and actually to move to the next phase. Like, we're very hopeful for this grant, but we also want to do fundraising, so I think the more people know about it, then we can start our fundraising efforts.
If it's possible, if he can do that, the mock-up of that without the elevation line, or whatever those dotted
Around
lines
it.
are that goes through it. No, there's...
On the outside.
There's like an L.
Yeah. I mean, I did have some ideas that I've actually mentioned to Mr. Jennings tonight, so we can probably talk about some other ideas. And I know you've been working hard on gathering information for fundraising.
Yes, yes. Mr. Weaver, is there anything I left out? I know it's kind of vague, but good?
Okay, any old business, anyone?
A couple questions. Sure. Just on that one presentation that Mr. DeSanto did, just for the public's confirmation and clarification, the vote on if there were to be a vote on a non-renewal or renewal for the superintendent, it's the majority of just the non-conflicted members and not the majority of the board, correct?
No.
No what?
It's not correct. The statutes clearly provide that the decision has to be made by the majority of the full membership of the board. And while I have the mic, I just like to have a point of order. I may have incorrectly responded to Mr. Mateo's question. Since the original contract must end July 1, any extension may very well have to be also July 1. So it may now be a 1 or a 2-year extension. His question was very dead on. As I was reflecting, I was thinking, I haven't seen any commissioner decisions on that, but I'd like the opportunity to look into it a little further. So I just want to stand corrected that I may have given him a wrong answer, but I will check that out. to see whether or not it must be 1 or 2 years and nothing in between. So I apologize for that.
I have one more thing. I'm sorry. I had the opportunity to go to Camelot, as you did, and Mr. Holmes did, I think, as well as several other schools. We've gotten to go to back-to-school nights, and I'd just like to commend all the schools. But I'm wondering, I had a talk with Mr. Frangipani this morning, and we were talking about the great things that are happening at Camelot and introduction of the middle school program. Maybe we could, as we talked about, get some kind of vocational training in there. I think that might be a good thing we could do over there, since we have some, we don't have some of that vocational training now. So I'm just, and maybe getting a presentation. I know Dr. Grucci and I spoke about that.
We're working on setting up a date for
presentation for that.
They are raising chickens.
Oh, that's good. All right, that's farming.
Roosters
It's
or
farming,
chickens?
right? That's great. Okay, that's all.
We can have an egg sale.
They actually really are enjoying it. They started last year.
To continue your conversation about Camelot, I was going to do this next week, but since you brought it up, that program is, I can't say enough about it. It's, these kids go in one certain way and come out a different person. They're very respectful. They know about respect and success and doing good in the community, and they know that there's rewards if you do the right things, and there's rewards if you don't do the right things, but they're the wrong rewards. They have just a progression of success, and the kids get to see it, they get to live it, feel it, they're all part of it. If you go in there, any board member during the week, you will get a tour by one of the students, and you will probably ask yourself, what is this child doing here? Because they're so much, their behavior is so advanced, and there's no screaming, or it's just calm and a very good atmosphere to be in. I'm really impressed with this. I can't say enough about it. I could sit up here and talk all night about it.
Please don't.
Okay. Is there any other comments by the board members? Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.